The Baggies Podcast, giving you the latest news, views and opinions on all things Albion. Now available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Hello Baggies fans and welcome back to the Baggies Podcast. It's episode 25. Hope you've all had a fantastic Christmas period. It is the 27th of December now and we've just played Liverpool, and as I said last week, I'm getting a bit sick of difficult listens. Well, as I'm sure you'll all be aware, this won't be a difficult listen. We have successfully gained a point at Anfield against Liverpool. A 1-1 draw, all told. Semi Ajayi and Sadio Mane with the goals for each club respectively, but we've managed to get a draw. Big Sam's second game in charge, a really good result at Liverpool, so we're going to be we're going to be going through that game. We're going to be talking about the lineup, and then we're going to be talking about the game on Tuesday, which, as far as I'm aware, is against Leeds United. So there's a game for us to get excited about, and then there's another game coming up on the 2nd of January, which fans could be allowed to attend. I mean, it's a long shot that they will be moved down a tier and more, which probably will be moved up a tier, but that game will be against Arsenal. So we're going to have a look ahead to both of those, and then we'll be looking at those in the next podcast coming up next Monday, which is going to be on the 4th of January. So plenty to look forward to here on the Baggies Podcast. Thank you all for a fantastic year, or as you have to say, which has been a fantastic one. This is the last time we'll get to have a listen before the new year. But yeah, thank you for all joining me on this journey of the Baggies Podcast. Hopefully a better 2021 to come. Hopefully I'm going to be doing some, when we're allowed back in the grounds, to do some match day videos and things like that. Hopefully for you guys to enjoy on the YouTube channel. But plenty to look forward to next year, and thank you for all your support this year. And of course, hope you've had a fantastic Christmas. But without further ado, let's get straight into the game against Liverpool. The Baggies Podcast, giving you the latest news, views and opinions on all things Albion. Now available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So as I said, the difficult listens seem to be postponed for at least another week. In this week's podcast, a 1-1 draw. Celebrating seems the wrong word for me, I think. You don't want to end up celebrating a draw. Don't want to, seem like you're celebrating a draw, but it's a fantastic point at Liverpool. A fantastic point. When you look at the way in which we got promoted last season was by a point. You just know that every point that you pick up, no matter where it comes from, but every point lost and every point won has its effect on the division itself, and has an effect on which way you're going to be going down the table. Are you going to be staying up, or are you going to be going down? And it looks pretty tight in this little mini league that we got going on at the moment. We got Sheffield United on 2 points. We got us on 19th on 8 points. Fulham in 18th on 11 points, and then Burnley just outside. Burnley and Brighton both on 13 points outside the relegation. So Burnley with a game to play. Then I'd probably class Arsenal with us as well in 17 points. But after that win against Chelsea, they could be on a bit of a road to redemption after what has been a terrible run of form for them. So we've got plenty of things to look forward to, and plenty of games to look forward to. Next week we've got Leeds and Arsenal coming up. But let's delve into this game against Liverpool, because what a fantastic performance it was from the Albion. A really good one. One in which it didn't start particularly well. So it was obvious the way in which we'd set up. I could see this coming from 1 mile away. It was going to be a standard Sam Allardyce formation with most players behind the ball. If I'm being honest, most players just playing in that defensive area. Even Karlan Grant ended up playing as a secondary left winger at times. So we played a lot of men behind the ball, and the lineup was fairly similar to what was played last week. In fact, I think it's identical, apart from the fact that I think Robinson's come in this particular game to play, which is a good thing, because I like Callum Robinson. I think he's a good player, and I think he's got a lot of good qualities that we can use. So Robinson came in for Livermore. Phillips was the surprise, not inclusion, but he was the captain today. Matt Phillips playing with the armband on for the first time in his Baggies career. I can't say he'd have been my choice for captain, not the sort of person I'd look to when in need of leadership, but certainly the sort of most appearances for the Albion since joining in 2016, so certainly the most appearances for Albion in the side, so perhaps that's the logic that Sam Allardyce has gone with. But yeah, not really a leader that I'd have thought, but a good choice of captain in the end, really. He guided us to a 1-1 draw and a big point against Liverpool. So you sort of have to say with Phillips that he has done a good job today, even though I didn't see him being particularly vocal, but certainly wasn't to single out as a bad performer today by any means. Certainly a decent game, especially from the entire side. I was expecting wholesale changes, I have to admit, but I don't think Sam wants to upset the apple cart, because it was on a high when he came in. 1-1 draw against Man City. Yes, the morale might have dropped with the sacking of the manager after that, but certainly no reason to start making drastic changes after that performance. Perhaps after the Villa game I expected some changes. I didn't expect to see Sawyers in the side, but he was in the side today, and it was good to see him because he actually played quite well, I have to say. But it was a whole team performance that were playing with real passion and real pride for the shirt. Liverpool, pretty standard line, what we expected from them. Alisson in goal, Alexander-Arnold right back, Matip and Fabinho the two centre backs, with Robertson out on the left. They had Jones, Henderson and Wijnaldum as the midfield three, with Salah, Firmino and Mane as that usual front three that we're expected to see for Liverpool usually. So we had them that lineup out there today. Obviously, we expected we knew what we were coming to see. We knew we were coming to see those many men behind the ball for West Brom. But in the first half, it didn't really go to plan. After 12 minutes, Sadio Mane struck a little sort of turn in the box. Nobody really pressurising him in that box, and was able to get a fairly simple shot away. Ajayi a bit out of position. It was pretty obvious how we were going to come out the traps, and that was just defend, men behind the ball, tight marking, but not so tight marking for that goal. Mane coming in and scoring for Liverpool. I may add, the last man to beat Liverpool at home was Sam Allardyce in 2017 with Crystal Palace. So there was a little bit of optimism going into the game, I do have to say. But the odds this morning, I heard from Ladbrokes on TalkSport this morning, were the same odds for Liverpool to win 7-0 as West Brom were to win 1-0. I think they were 55-1 as of this morning. So fairly large odds. Nobody really expecting us to get a goal, a win out of this game, or any result perhaps. It was expected, much like the Man City game, to be a cricket score, and we proved a lot of people wrong today. Plenty of people putting in the performance that I've expected to see from them, and they've really needed to see. One of the things I do have to pick up on is the fact that everyone seemed to play more as a unit. Everyone seemed to have a bit more passion and desire, perhaps in this game, because after going 1-0 down against Liverpool, perhaps we might have had heads drop like they have previously, like against Aston Villa, and the floodgates just opened. But yeah, really good game from West Bromwich Albion. We then went on to score in the 80th minute. I mean, it was sort of a game of attack versus defence for most of the game, but we had chances. I do have to say we did have chance. Salah had a cross after 72 minutes, which was cleared by Sawyers, and it sent Grant in on goal. And Grant showed some really good pace to break the Liverpool defence and get in behind. I think it was Reece Williams who'd just come on for Matip, who'd gone off injured, and he came on and he raced through on goal, and Grant just straight at Alisson, really. It was a decent save. He'd closed down the angle well. But then after 82 minutes, a short corner, and I have to admit I was one to groan when the short corner was played. It was played to Pereira, and then he whips it in, and Ajayi gets his head on it. He gets his head, and it hits the post, and it looks to be going straight back into the keeper's arms, but the backspin on it sends it like into the goal, like it's hit the post and the backspin has sent it into the goal rather than the perhaps force of the shot. It's just evaded the keeper and it's gone in for West Brom. The atmosphere, we're going. I'm going absolutely wild, because in that second half we had in the first half it's pretty dour, pretty damning, because you're just watching your team defend for 45 minutes. You're not watching anything particularly spectacular. You're not watching anybody really starting to you're not watching anyone really attack. There was no real out ball. Grant playing, as I said, as a sort of secondary left winger. it was pretty hard to watch, really. Just Liverpool attacking until the last whistle of the half. So it's quite hard to watch for the first half. With no real outball, no chances, not really a shot on target on goal at all. I think we had 18% possession in that first half, which was pretty bad. So we certainly showed the right attitude in the second half. We played really well in terms of defending in the first half. Looked really organised. You have to say, of a lot of teams that come and play against Liverpool and Man City and teams like that, they come out and they park the bus, but they don't have real organisation. There's lots of gaps in between the defence, lots of available areas and bits of pockets of space that good players, world-class players, can really pick up. So it was really good to see that the fact that Allardyce has got us organised, because that looked like a really solid defensive unit. O'Shea, I have to say, what a player! I'm really pleased with him. He's the sort of man on FIFA that I go to, and I think, and I end up selling him because he doesn't look like he's going to make the grade in whatever league that we're in. I know this game isn't FIFA, but he looked like he's an assured Premier League centre back alongside Ajayi. Ajayi, obviously, we know he can do it in this division. He looks the part. Scored the goal today, which probably means that he's done a great job at the back today. But he scored the goal for us. And O'Shea and him look really good together. I thought Furlong's days might be a bit numbered when the goal was conceded against Villa last time, because I thought, who's not going to like that, and it's Big Sam, and because Big Sam likes his defensive side, and if Furlong's shipping, letting his man go at the back post like that, I thought maybe it's not going to be his job, and maybe if O'Shea's going to go to right back and somebody else is going to come in at centre back like Ivanovic or Bartley or somebody like that, and I was a bit worried that would be the case. But I'm glad that Furlong's been playing out of his skin for West Bromwich Albion this season. Him and Townsend much improved. It's clear that they are relishing this opportunity at top level. They're finding their feet at top level. They're finding their swagger almost, and they're finding the way to get noticed by Premier League sides, and to say, yeah, they've got a decent team out there today. They've got a nice team. And they've got Furlong and Townsend at right back, who probably shouldn't be playing this sort of game, and they shouldn't probably be playing Premier League level. They're far not good enough at all to play in this division, perhaps people would say, and they've really proven a lot of people wrong, in my opinion, proving plenty of people wrong in terms of people who don't rate them. And I have to say, I had my doubts about both of them, and they've both come through and proved that they can play at the level. Same with O'Shea, same with Ajayi. The back four looking much better today under Sam Allardyce. The first half was almost defend for quite a while, and defending for a large period of the game, when actually we just needed to do what we did in the second half, and that was to go forward and attempt to create some more chances. We needed to show a bit more passion and desire going forward, because the outball, there wasn't really one. Every time the ball was going back, it was Henderson, Matip and Fabinho who just sat on the halfway line, pivoting around each other. Alisson was playing holding midfield for Liverpool almost at times in that first half. But the second half, we came out, showed a bit more flair, a bit more pace, showed a bit more desire to get forward, and I liked it from us. I liked the way that we worked the ball forward and worked the ball, and we kept the ball. I said under Slaven a few weeks ago that we just can't string passes together against it's okay size. We had plenty of chances when we played teams like Sheffield United and things like that, because they aren't as good a side. But when you play any team in the top 10, including Crystal Palace, who aren't in the top 10, but we just couldn't string passes together against any of the sides that we played in the top 10. And that was a worrying thing for me. But this time we just managed to keep the ball a bit better, and I liked the way that we played the ball around. Liverpool didn't know what to do with us at times. We were like counter-attacking and coming forward, and we were looking pretty dangerous at times. A few little chances from Grant. I mean, I can't. I think it was a good save from Alisson. I don't think I can blame him, and I am pretty critical of Grant, and I have been. I was his biggest fan when he signed. I thought, what a signing he's going to be. But yeah, I think Alisson came down to close down the angle quite well, so it's a good save for me. Yes, but there was a few little chances in there, here and there, where there were chances to score. Liverpool in that second half didn't really create much, I have to say. There was one fantastic save again from that man Sam Johnston in goal, who's really been pulling his socks up for Albion this season. As you all know, our player of the season so far for me. He's done a really good job and made an extraordinary save from a Firmino header late on in the game, and that really kept us in the game and kept us and got us a point, because that was heading straight for the bottom corner, and he got a little fingertip on it and turned it wide. He is a fantastic goalkeeper, and he should be playing for England. I mean, I have my doubts. If you go back to the podcast and earlier episodes, you'll listen and you'll hear me talking about perhaps bringing in another goalkeeper. I mentioned a few names. I got a little list drew up when it was the time, I suggested replacing him, and I thought Button would be a good choice to perhaps come in and challenge him. But how are you going to challenge that goalkeeper now? He's a fantastic, unless he starts making some real clangers and costing us points, which he's done once this season, I think, with that one against Spurs. But since that game, he has absolutely come to light. Been the fantastic goalkeeper that nobody really expected him to be in this division. Again, for England, he should be playing. Dean Henderson dropping clangers for Manchester United, not really getting in the team for them. I can see him coming out the side for coming out the England squad for Johnston. Because why would you pick Dean Henderson this season? What's he done to impress you when you've got a player who, yes, has conceded the second highest or joint highest amount of goals in the division, but he's been making the saves that probably if he played for Liverpool or Man City, everybody would be talking about. And if you heard Sam Johnston in the interview afterwards coming out and saying didn't have much to do, which against Liverpool, he didn't in that second half. He didn't really have too much to do, in my opinion. As for the midfield, and I've mentioned the defence, but the midfield weren't too far off the quality of the defence today. Very organised, very helpful, I have to say. Sawyer's coming in some really good tackles that helped us nip the ball off those skillful Liverpool players. Gallagher the same, always putting in 100%. Phillips, decent game, perhaps not as good as somebody like Gallagher in that particular game, not as well performing, but still played his part. Got some good blocks, good tackles in there, and I wouldn't say he led the team really well. Perhaps Phillips, not the vocal sort of guy that I expect him to be. But certainly put in a good performance. Didn't put a foot wrong. Robinson in that first half, and before he got taken off later on in the game, played well for me. Did a really good job defensively, I have to say, keeping people like Robertson and Mane on that left hand side very contained. As a note to Grant, I think he'd work really well with a nice hold-up striker up front. Now, we've seen main names mentioned. None of them I'm too keen about, Andy Carroll and Cenk Tosun, but I feel like somebody like not like them, because they're both just not good enough at Premier League level anymore. I mean, Cenk Tosun hasn't really performed in the Premier League. Andy Carroll, just injury prone and not reliable enough. I'd look for somebody else. A little shout I did have is just one that I've thought of, is actually a man who's playing his football at Elche in Spain, and that is Guido Carrillo. And now you might think, who the hell is that? And this is like a little like one I've thought of myself, and not one that I expect the club to go for at all. But his name is Guido Carrillo. He's 29 years old. Did play for Southampton a few years ago. You might remember him. But when he played at the Hawthorns, he dominated Gareth McCauley in the air. Now, Gareth McCauley, not an easy guy to dispossess in the air, but I think he might be an alright sign. I don't think we will sign him. I'm just saying, this is just one I'm putting out there, that perhaps he might be. Never scored a goal for Southampton, I don't think. But yeah, not a goal scorer, but certainly his hold-up play is pretty decent for me. I mean, I see no reason why he couldn't come in and do a job, but it's not the sort of player we'll be looking to sign I don't think at all. But But yeah, he's a good hold-up striker. That's all I've got to say about him. There's plenty of other ones like him that could. Muriqi would be one, but we're not going to spend 20 million on a player. In all fairness, at all. But yeah, I think Grant would look better with a hold-up striker alongside him. Another little thing I've got to say is about how Sam Allardyce should be sacked now. Surely he should be sacked. He's got a 1-1 draw against a top-level side. Surely it's his time to go now, because that's just how we work round here. But it'll be interesting to see what we get in the January window. Obviously that'll be open and we'll be having rumours coming in next week. I love this sort of time of year. Not when we're looking at signing people. Have you seen who we've been signing? People like Phil Jones and Andy Carroll. Not looking good. But we've apparently inquired about the availability of Dan James on loan. So I'd maybe like to see that happen. He's a good player. Not very, very quick. Would probably do a job for us as well. But we look ahead to Leeds now, which is going to be an interesting game. Obviously Leeds with a slightly worse defence apparently than us, but they like to attack. They like to outscore the opposition. So I can't see us outscoring them, but I can perhaps see us out defending them. Hopefully it'll go all right. And my prediction for that game is a 1-0 win for West Bromwich Albion. I think Big Sam might be able to just work a little bit of magic. He's worked a bit of magic today. I have full faith in that man to keep us up, I'm afraid. I mean, we haven't got the best side. We certainly haven't. But I can assure you that Big Sam is going to organise us better. A really good result for West Brom. The first half was really good at containing the opposition today, and the second half really good for going forward and coming out the traps and playing football against Liverpool. But that brings us to the end of this week's podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you have a fantastic new year and you've had a fantastic festive period. Hopefully the new year brings us better health and better times for everybody in the UK right now, and of course across the world, wherever you're listening from. Hopefully it brings us better times, and hopefully you have a fantastic new year celebration, however you decide to celebrate it, hopefully with your family or whoever. But hopefully you have a good time, and thank you for all listening throughout 2020. It's been a pleasure having you on board. Started this podcast in April, and we've recently hit new numbers, fantastic listeners and fantastic figures and stuff. Had an appearance on TalkSport. It's been a fantastic journey for the Albion coming up into the Premier League, and hopefully we're going to build on this performance, and hopefully we're going to go out there and show the Premier League that we can survive. Hopefully you have a fantastic new year, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye Baggies fans, and have a fantastic happy new year. The Baggies Podcast, giving you the latest news, views and opinions on all things Albion. Now available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.